Yeah, okay. Bye-bye. But please don't think of them as sitting apart from the other lessons. These lessons are very intimately related. So please sit on the floor with your legs crossed. And lean on the floor behind you with your hands. And from this position, stay leaning on your hands and take the right shoulder forwards and the left shoulder back. Right shoulder forwards, left shoulder back, return, and then take the left shoulder forward and the right shoulder back. And continue like that. And what you realize you're doing is you're turning your chest and your shoulders. You're turning. And your job is to notice what happens between. There's the turning to the left, and then there's the turning to the right, and something happens in between. That's your job. How do you get from being turned to the right to being turned to the left? So you're sitting on the floor, your legs are crossed, and you're leaning on the floor with your hands behind you. Make the movement as simple as you can make it. Nothing, no big deal, no more than's necessary. Just simply take one shoulder forward, other shoulder forward, one shoulder forward, other shoulder forward. That's simple. And notice what happens with your pelvis against the ground. When that right shoulder goes forward, does your weight shift on your pelvis? Notice that does not mean do something with your pelvis. It just means simply notice what's already happening. Don't do anything special. Now bring everything to the front. Change the crossing of your legs. If your right leg's in front, put the left leg in front, or vice versa. And then return to doing the same thing. Turn your shoulders, turn your chest, turn your spine. And for some of you, the choice of which leg is in front is going to make a big difference to which direction the shoulders go easily. And for others of you, it won't be much of a difference at all. However, the question is still there. Does it make a difference which leg is in front? Does it have an effect on the way the shoulders turn, the way the chest turns, the way the spine turns? That's enough. Please rest. Come up to sit and cross your legs and have the leg in front that allows you to turn more easily. Lean on the floor behind you with your hands. And let your head lower in the direction of your chest. Just let your head lower. Let it lower, let it lower, let it lower. I'm trying to not use the word hang. Just let the head have its weight. And now with the head forward like that, let it be forward, start to take the right shoulder forward and return, and the left shoulder forward and return. And notice how your head gets moved through space as you move your shoulders. Stay leaning on your hands behind you. That means your trunk is not leaning forwards. That's it. Notice when the right shoulder forwards, that when the right shoulder goes forward, that the top of your head goes more to the left. And when the left shoulder comes forward, if your head is hanging, I use that word. If your head is lowered towards your chest, as the left shoulder comes forward, the top of your head will go to the right. So you are carrying your head through space, through the movement of your shoulders. That's what you're doing. You're moving your chest, your shoulders to carry your head through space. You're free to change your legs over whenever you'd like. And now stop the movement with the shoulders. Keep the shoulders exactly as they are. And now intentionally move the head to the right, bring it back to the middle, and then move the head to the left. And it's not just a simple kind of bending motion. It's kind of like this little roll. You do this kind of little roll with your head and a little roll with your head. So now it's the muscles of your neck that are moving the head. So your head is being carried by the bones of your neck and moved by the muscles of your neck and not your shoulders. Your head is forwards. Good. Stop. Rest for a while. So there's many ways to bring the head towards the chest. One of them is just to use your the joints in your neck exclusively. In other words, you just use up what your neck can do, and that's it. Or you can start to take that movement more into the neck and the chest, and that's different again. So please involve as much of yourself as you would like, as long as you can stay leaning backwards on the floor with your hands. And that's really important. That constraint is really important. Come up to sit again, cross the legs. Lower your head forward so that your chin is lowered towards your chest. Start to roll your head, or loll. Do you understand the word LOL? I don't mean lots of love. I mean just loll, to loll your head a little bit to the left and then to loll it a little bit to the right. It's kind of like this half rolling, half swaying movement. And get a feel for that. Let the chest become a little bit involved. As you take your head to the right, notice which shoulder tends to come forward. Are you sure you're leaning on your hands behind you? Are you sure you're leaning on your hands? Make sure you're leaning on your hands. Yeah. Stay leaning on your hands and now take your head forward, chin towards the chest. That's it. Stay leaning on your hands. That's it. And now take your head a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and start to intentionally involve the shoulders now. Yep. Yeah. Show me. Come on. Go and do it sitting on the table. Go and sit on the table. Yeah, so that way you'll at least you'll be able to have a little bit more weight through your pelvis. Yeah, and yeah, continue. Have your head down and let your weight go a little bit onto the back of your pelvis. There we go. That's it. Is that better? Great. See if you can let the head loll enough so that your right ear almost comes to rest on your right shoulder, and then your left ear almost comes to rest on your left shoulder. So it's this funny kind of little rolling, swaying movement, and your shoulders are moving with your head, with your neck, and there's no momentum. No momentum. I didn't use the word swing at all. No swinging. Not a good idea when it comes to the joints of the neck. Yeah. Unless you're very, very used to it, then it's okay. Yeah. But just kind of like a rolling sway. And then you're also intentionally turning the chest, taking one shoulder forward, the other shoulder forward. That's it. And every time you bring the head back to the middle, the head is low. And what some of you might start to find is that your pelvis begins to make a half of a pelvic clock. Yes. Swing has momentum in it. Sway. Involve your shoulders. That's it. And when you're doing this movement, which half of the clock are you on? The 6 o'clock side or the 12 o'clock side? Stop a moment, rest. Now, I know that different people have different abilities through their wrist. So please rest when you need to before you feel any discomfort in your wrists. Please come up to sit. Sit with your legs crossed. Lean on the floor behind you with your hands. Imagine that you're sitting on a pelvic clock. 12 is in front of you, 6 is behind you. Roll your pelvis to 6. And as you roll your pelvis to 6, lower your head in the direction of your chest. And then return to the middle of the clock. Just that. Roll the pelvis to 6, lower the head, return to the center. As you roll your pelvis to 6, let the head go down towards the chest. Let the chin come close to the breastbone. Round your back. Let the shoulder blades separate. Let the 12th rib move diagonally downwards and forwards. That was just me kidding. Like, who knows what the 12th rib is doing? I certainly don't. So, yes, move the 12th rib forwards and downwards. So as you roll your pelvis to 6, which is behind you, let your spine round, let your head lower towards your chest. Stay leaning on your hands. Now, stay back there, pelvis to 6, and now start to sway your head towards the right shoulder and come back to the middle. Just do that. Sway your head to the right shoulder, come back to the middle, and notice to which hour does the pelvis roll. If 6 is behind you, does your pelvis roll to 9 o'clock or does it roll to 3 o'clock? Which way of rolling the pelvis helps you to get that ear close to that right shoulder? And as I said, it's a funny movement that you're doing with your head. There's no one single word to describe it. It's rolling, it's swaying, it's moving through space. Falling asleep, it's nodding at the train, on the train. Oh, okay, like falling asleep on the train. That's good. Oh, no, start. It's a very long journey. Yeah, that's it. Nice. Great. Stop in the middle. Now go to the other side. Roll, sway, nod your head to the left shoulder. And notice to which hour does the pelvis go now? 3 o'clock? 9 o'clock? Which is really asking, which way will you bend your trunk to enable you to get your ear to nestle, to almost fall asleep on that shoulder? How do you need to shape yourself for that to happen? One buttock will come to rest more firmly on the floor, and the other one will start to lift a little bit. And by lift, I don't mean 6 inches. I mean maybe a millimeter. That's it. There's the rolling movement of the pelvis. Yes. And now go right and left with the head. And intentionally do involve your pelvis. Just like when you were with your partner and you were pulling each other's hand or finger, there's a moment that the rest of you needs to get involved or else the rolling gets stuck. Same thing here. To send your head around in a little semicircular roll from one side to the other, something needs to move. You need to mobilize yourself. That's it. And it looks like some of you are ready to start going backwards. So we'll take a rest and we'll do that. So stop, please. Rest a moment. We'll look a little bit more into the structure of the neck tomorrow, but I can tell you now, there's a lot of blood vessels going up through the neck. There's a lot of nerves. You really don't want to be doing any movement that compresses the neck or moves it suddenly. You really don't. So when it comes to moving your head around in space, it's really a good idea to distribute the movement as far through you as you can. One of the little models that I used to carry with me in the anatomy class was a little model of a skeleton, but I'd taken the arms off and I'd taken the ribs off. So basically what you had was a pelvis, a whole long spine, and then a head. And it gave you a complete image of how much movement there is that you can use to move the head through that whole long spine. Okay, please come up to sit. Cross your legs the other way around. Lean on the floor behind you with your hands. Now, remember where the pelvic clock is. 12 is in front, 6 is behind. Could you please take your head backwards? And as you do that, take your pelvis to 12. In other words, arch your back. And then return. Just that. Do that several times. And whatever you do, don't just simply crunch backwards into the neck. Don't just simply hyperextend the neck. See if you can elevate the chest in front, create a really long arch throughout the whole of the back. Your shoulder blades can be involved. Your shoulders can be involved. That's nice. And now, next time your head is back there, stay with your head back there and turn the shoulders like you did at the beginning. Take the right shoulder forward, bring it back. Take the left shoulder forward, bring it back. That's it. Don't do anything special with the head. Just let the head be carried by the shoulders. That's it. And you'll feel how the weight goes a little bit more into the left hand, and then the weight goes a little bit more into the right hand, and then your weight starts to shift over your pelvis. 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's enough. Come off your hands, rest in sitting for a moment. Lean on the floor behind you with your hands. And now lower your head backwards. But to lower your head backwards means at the front you get longer. You get longer and longer through the front. The front of you lifts for the head to go backwards and down. The front lifts forward and up. And now from here, keep the shoulders still and move your head a little bit, left and right, just like you were doing when your head was forward. It's this funny little rolling, turning, swaying movement. And start now to involve your shoulders. As your head sways to the left and the left ear comes closer to the left shoulder, take the left shoulder. Which way? Forwards or backwards? Go back and forth like that. Left, right, left, right. Okay. Stop. Let that be. Rest completely on your back. One more time before we finish today. Roll to one side, come up to sit, cross your legs. Lean on the floor behind you with your hands. Roll your pelvis to 6 o'clock, which is behind you. Let your head lower towards your chest. And now begin to make that little movement. The head around towards the right shoulder, and then come back, and then the head around towards the left shoulder, come back. Please involve your shoulders, involve your chest, roll your pelvis. And now just make that circling of the head a little bigger. Go a little bit past the right shoulder and then return to the middle with your chest, the chin to your chest. And then go a little bit past the left shoulder and return to the middle, chin towards the chest. And gradually, very, very gradually, make the movement a little bigger until you can make a complete circle with your head. And please do not in any way force yourself. Do not make yourself make a circle. If it comes, do it. But just keep on looking for the flow of motion. If at any moment you are a little bit concerned about your neck, you should not do it. Because even that little bit of concern will tighten up the muscles and rob you of some of the suppleness that you actually need to do the movement. So if you're concerned, don't do it. Don't worry. Your ability will improve over the next few lessons. And notice that as you circle the head, the pelvis also makes a circle on the ground. The two things are not separate from each other. Are you leaning behind you? Are you leaning on the floor behind you? Are you? No, you're not. Let's have an argument. No, we're not. Very good. It looked more beside to me. Ooh, right. Okay. Please let that be. Come up to standing. Feel how you carry your head in standing. Take your right shoulder a little bit forward. Take your left shoulder a little bit forward. Go for a walk and feel what happens with the shoulders when you walk. Okay. Have a good evening and see you back here tomorrow morning.